While Germany is preparing for an economic crisis of, I quote, apocalyptic proportions, our government goes ahead and seriously approves investments in Syria. That means tax money is not only being misappropriated here, but now it's also being sent to Syria on a large scale. The ruler, a terrorist, and also someone who, for example, has had journalists arrested, people detained, and has pushed for executions. He sits in the Bundestag today and tells us that he has launched an incredible investment deal. And our government, well, they're eating out of his hand. What all this means and what great topics I've gathered to tell you about today, you'll find out in this video.
Germany knows what it means when a new society has to be formed out of a dictatorship.
It took years not only to support the Germans, but also to regain trust. It took years before investments started flowing into Germany. After the reconstruction even took place, but now look how quickly they are in Syria, because they know exactly. Because if they lose the battle for Hormuz, for the Strait of Hormuz, then things will look extremely bad for Germany.
Mr. President, I want to tell you today we stand by Syria's side. The Syrians deserve a chance, and we want to help make sure this chance is used well.
If you want to support me and this channel for the honest opinions about some of the news happening here right now, then feel free to leave me a like and a subscription. That would help this channel incredibly to finally broadcast the truth and not just what the media forces on us. They stand on all sides, just unfortunately not on the side of the Germans, because we keep seeing that again and again. There will be no relief for the middle of society in Germany. There will be no tax cuts in Germany. Instead, we have to pay even more. That we can support Syria, that we can support Ukraine, that maybe someday we can support Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan again. All countries are supported by this government, just unfortunately not Germany anymore. Because now we know very well that we will be hit by tax increases, we will be hit by health insurance increases, and relief measures, they can't be implemented. Klingbeil, his wife, doesn't want that. There won't even be any relief for the NGOs. They just have to completely re-tender everything. Otherwise, they'd upset the finance minister.
A series of sabotage acts against critical infrastructure in Germany. Apparently, a nationwide networked left-wing extremist group is behind it.
The program, what many still don't know, is that El Chelani, who is in Berlin today, was among those who trained these people. That's widely known, but you only find it in local newspapers. Unfortunately, for example, Die Welt doesn't report on it, because that would be extremely damaging for this government. That you find out that these attacks are partly orchestrated by Syrian authorities or the LKI who are coming there.
You could see that last week when Lars Klingbeil gave his so-called major reform speech. There were, one after the other, or at the same time, Friedrich Merz in the Bundestag, who was being questioned, and Klingbeil was giving his speech. And your channel broadcasted both. First Merz, and then bam, over to Klingbeil. And you could see on the live ratings monitor how the ratings were still fine during Merz. But then they dropped when Klingbeil started talking. The man, Klingbeil, has the charisma of an iron.
Now I'm curious, why would you tune out when this man is on? I would just tune out when this man is on, but for a completely different reason. Just this morning I heard we need to provide funds for Syria. We need to support Syria. And at the same time, a finance minister comes along and says, our coffers are completely empty. We have to raise everything. You have to pay more taxes. You have to pay higher health insurance contributions, more for electricity, more for energy, more for fuel. What do I know? And that's why people tune out. People just don't understand anymore. I don't understand anymore why I should keep coming up with more money to finance other countries. Let's be honest, what do other countries actually do for us? And especially in Syria, let's first have real peace there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, then we can talk about investments. And right now, at the moment, we should urgently keep the investments here in Germany and not distribute our tax money all over the world again. That's my opinion. I don't know what your opinion is, but feel free to write it below.
And if we take a closer look at this now, at least I do, we come to the conclusion that all the centrist parties have B-level leadership, not A-level, but B-level leadership. But they should actually do everything to get A-level leadership.
Above all, this country needs A-level leadership. If we keep going like this, the economy will be history if we keep going like this. And to quote Ms. Reich, by the end of this month, we won't have any fuel left. That means the gas stations, just like in France right now, are empty and no one can fill up their car anymore. People will then have to ride bicycles again, or if they have horses, go to work by carriage. We already had that in the 70s. Maybe some people still remember it.
Friedrich Merz has lost so much trust, and only a quarter of the people in Germany think what he has done is right and welcome. And he's no longer a party leader. He can't lead the Christian Democratic Union, and he's not even trying. Instead, he is actually a supporter of Lars Klingbeil, whom he would like to keep as a hand puppet next to him.
Well, I see it a bit differently. In fact, I think the puppet is Friedrich Merz and not Lars Klingbeil. And just as he put it so nicely, actually it's Friedrich Merz who dances to the tune of the Social Democratic Party and not to conservative forces here in Germany. And let's be honest, the Alternative for Germany is really the last conservative party here in Germany, because we definitely can't count the Christian Democratic Union as a conservative party here anymore. They've slipped just as far into left-wing extremism, just like the Greens or the Social Democratic Party have by now. They're terrorizing this country. Like I said, that's how I see it and that's how I feel about it too.
Worst result since 1952. In reality, Söder is finished. And I think it's time for Alexander Dobrindt to take over the party and also prepare to replace Söder later as Bavarian minister president.
Since Jörg thinks that Wüst should become chancellor, which I am absolutely against, I still think that if this Christian Democratic Union has to continue somehow, then I would probably even consider him as a successor chancellor or vice chancellor. I would rather have Dobrindt than anyone else. At least he's someone who, well, I have to say, of all those sitting on the political bench, he's the only one who doesn't get a grade 5 from me. Because all the others, the way they're sitting there, Reike, Merz, Klingbeil, Baas, whoever you pick, they would get a grade 5 or even a grade 6 from me. Because everything they promised us was a lie, but we can't blame Dobrindt for that. Sure, he didn't accomplish much, but at least he did a little bit, so I'll still give him a grade 4.